The 2026 Formula One regulations were supposed to be the future. Smaller cars, lighter chassis, sustainable fuels, a near 50-50 split between internal combustion and electric power. On paper, it sounds like the most advanced era in motorsport history. But behind the polished press releases and technical diagrams, the drivers are split. Some say it's evolution. Others say it's not Formula One anymore. Let's take a look at what some of the biggest names on the grid have actually said. Let's start with the most outspoken of them all, Max Verstappen. The four-time world champion has never been one to sugarcoat his opinions, and when asked about the new cars, Verstappen didn't hold back. According to him, the new machines are not a lot of fun and feel like Formula E on steroids. For Verstappen, the issue isn't whether drivers can adapt. He made it clear that the best drivers always will. The problem, in his eyes, is what the sport is turning into. Instead of driving flat out, drivers now have to think constantly about energy management. Brake a little longer, downshift one gear earlier, lift slightly before a straight. Every tiny input massively affects battery levels and straight line performance. And for someone like Verstappen, who built his reputation on raw, aggressive, flat-out driving, that's a fundamental shift. He summed it up simply: it feels less pure. Under the 2026 rules, the engines are heavily energy dependent. The electrical component has roughly 3 times more power than before, but the battery size hasn't grown significantly. That means drivers are constantly recovering energy just to stay competitive. Instead of attacking every corner at maximum commitment, they're managing charge cycles multiple times per lap. For Verstappen, that's not what Formula One traditionally represents. He even joked that maybe he should just race in Formula E instead, because at least there, heavy energy management is the entire point. And if that wasn't telling enough, Verstappen has openly considered racing the Nürburgring 24 hours this year. In his words, at least there he can drive flat out without worrying about the battery. Now, on the other side of the debate, we have the reigning world champion, Lando Norris. When asked about the new rules, he described the cars as a lot of fun. For Norris, Formula One has always evolved. There have always been eras that are better or worse to drive, but adapting is part of the job. And then he added, "We get paid a stupid amount of money to drive, so we can't really complain." He views the 2026 cars not as a problem, but as a puzzle. The driving style is different, the strategy is different, the energy deployment is different. But for him, that's what makes it interesting. Instead of simply pushing flat out, drivers now have to think several corners ahead. They have to balance harvesting and deploying energy while still defending and attacking. For engineers and technically minded drivers, this era offers a deeper layer of complexity. Norris seems to thrive on that. To him, it's not less pure, it's just different. And Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, called the new rules ridiculously complex. And he wasn't exaggerating. Hamilton described sitting in technical briefings where the energy systems were explained, and even experienced drivers felt like they needed a degree to understand everything. There are 4 primary ways the cars now recover energy: regenerative braking, high rev harvesting in corners, lift and coast before braking zones, and something called superclip, where the ECU diverts power back into the battery even at full throttle. That's a lot to manage, and it gets even trickier. Drivers can also use a boost button to gain extra power for overtaking, but if they overuse it, they risk being vulnerable on the next straight because their battery will be depleted. It's a constant balancing act. Hamilton even pointed out that at circuits like Barcelona, drivers were lifting and coasting for hundreds of meters. He also mentioned that drivers are forced into unusually low gears just to help with energy recovery, revving the engines extremely high in second and first gear simply to claw back battery power. That's not a stylistic choice, it's a necessity. And while Hamilton acknowledged that teams are still learning and that early impressions may change, his concern is clear. The sport has become incredibly technical, maybe too technical for casual fans to fully grasp.